We've been
I'm
trying to.
excited. Here we go. Cherlette, we're live.
Yay!
It's me and you.
We are
What's
live.
happening, everybody? We are finally here. It's been a long time coming. I have the one and only Cherlette McCullough on the show. Very excited to talk about W.I.N.K and relationships and what W.I.N.K stands for and all the amazing stuff that you do in the world, Cherlette. So thanks for agreeing to come on the show. I'm excited.
Thanks, Ted, for having me. I'm excited to be with you today. I was
I'm very
looking forward to this all day long.
Me too. You're the only show I have today. I did a little quick announcement earlier, but now it's all about Cherlette. All right, so
Yeah.
we love origin story on the TED Show. The viewers love that. So tell them a little bit about you, a little background on you, and then we'll take a deep dive into everything else after.
Sounds good. So I am Cherlette McCullough, marriage and family therapist here in the Orlando Winter Park area. My practice is in Winter Park on Lee Road. I have been in private practice now for about 3 years. My background is in child welfare. So I did about 15 years in child welfare. From the time I graduated with my undergrad degree, I went straight into child welfare. And
you did?
Say that again?
You went to, what'd you work for? What was it back then? DFF? No, DCF?
Yes, DCF,
no.
Department of Children and Families.
Wow.
Yes, with Children's Home Society.
Yes, so that's right. That's where Stacy was adopted from.
Really?
My father-in-law served on their board in the 60s, and Stacy was actually adopted from CHS back in the day.
Wow. CHS is an amazing organization, though, Ted. I mean, for all kinds of clinical services, adoptions, and child welfare. They have all types of services, free services, parenting, all types of stuff Children's Home Society have. And I really love that organization until today,
So tell me when you got out, you were all big-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you're like, you're gonna change the world. And then you get into the system, the real system. What was that like?
And then you really find out. So I graduated undergrad from Bethune-Cookman College.
Amazing.
It was Bethune-Cookman College back then, but it's Bethune-Cookman University now. So that was back in 1999. And my very first job was at a level 6 Department of Juvenile Justice program. So it's like prison for juveniles. And Ted, that wasn't me because you couldn't wear nails back then. You couldn't wear your own clothes. It was like a uniform, and you couldn't wear hair and stuff like that, So
did you work locally with that program?
Say that again?
Was that local here in Orlando?
That was in Daytona Beach with Stuart Marchman.
Yeah, very cool.
So I was there for about 8 months. And then I went over to adult probation. And I stayed there about 6 months. That wasn't for me. I couldn't watch over grown men do different. I just didn't do it.
Right? No, that sounds awful. God bless them. No, people don't realize what goes on in social services.
Yes.
The amount of stress for the pennies an hour you get, maybe.
The pennies.
Literally pennies. You got love on here. Linda DeSantis says, she says, love your jacket, but it matches her wall color. Hey, Kimber, what's up? It does match your wall color. Yeah, I think people don't realize the social service industry is very difficult for very teeny tiny little money.
Right. But you know what, Ted? A lot of us that have, these big hearts, we're these imps, we really enjoy the work. But the stress level is really what takes us out, and all of the paperwork, to get one task done, it's just too much.
God, it's insane. I did HRS, so that's before your time even. And I worked in the Nobody Laugh Who's Watching, the Alcohol, Drug Abuse, and Mental Health Division.
Yes.
And I know all those programs, but DJJ, which is the Department of Juvenile Justice, I work super close with them as well. I just know what you went through.
Absolutely.
And I have to give kudos to you for that. That is a thankless job with an amount of pressure that most human beings can't handle.
You're right. It's high. I mean, caseloads are like out of this world. But then I left adult probation, Department of Corrections, and I went over to the Department of Children and Families with Children's Home Society. And I stayed there until I transitioned into private practice. And
what made you do that? What made you do that?
I was just about to tell you, I enjoy helping people. I enjoy the whole social services department. I love helping people connect the dots. I love helping families. I love helping single mothers. I love helping just families all together. But I got burned out because I had worked all over Florida. I've been in North Florida doing child welfare. I've been all over. So honestly, Ted, what I wanted to do was stay in social services, stay at helping families, therapy, clinical services, but I wanted to transition over to the population that came in the door with a little more motivation. So in private practice, the people that come through my door now, they have a level of motivation of wanting help and wanting guidance and treatment and things like that. Prior to this, I worked with a population where I had to motivate them to get to the door, motivate them to work their treatment plan, motivate them to answer their phones, motivate them to come to the door, motivate them to come to court, motivate them to speak up. So and with that, I just got burned out, Ted, honestly. I just got burned out.
The burnout level is so high in those positions.
Yes.
And it's amazing that people last as long as they do, because the expectation that's put on you all, it's just inhuman. There's no way for a human being to be impactful and helpful when you have a caseload that 4 people should be working instead of 1.
Absolutely. And the responsibility being so high and the consequences of making a mistake is so high that could really cost you your whole career.
Yeah.
You can end up in jail, behind one mistake. And people just don't really understand the level of stress.
So now you get out and you get to be your own boss.
Yes.
So what was that like? So what was you finally you had done your time. You had you were a good soldier. You had done your work. And then you realized, you know what? I want to work with a certain group. I have the credentials. I can go out and do it. I've got the experience. But what was the final thing? Did you just go, okay, enough of this? Or did you say, hey, I'd like to be paid more than 0.02 cents an hour. I don't want to go to jail. What was the impetus? What made you?
What happened, Tim, I had moved from Palm Beach County as a program director and was transferred to Lake County. And in Lake County, we had taken over a contract from the previous contract holder. And Ted, just the level of hiring and firing and changes in contracts and putting things in place in court and the responsibilities, I blacked out at work and I woke up in the emergency room in Waterman Hospital. And that day, the doctor was very candid with me about my stress level, my blood pressure, and all that type of stuff. And I went home. I stayed home for a couple of weeks. And Ted, I decided that I was going to resign with no job at all. But I just felt that my health was more important. And I know I wanted to live. And I know if I went back into that environment, I wouldn't be able to pull back. It was just expected to work that way, and work that many hours a week. So I resigned. I gave my 30-day notice and with no job. And that was
that's brave.
Yeah. It was at that time, but I had to do it, Ted. I didn't have a choice.
Understood.
I didn't have a choice.
Your mental health, your physical health. Also, you realize at some point, all people, all of us who have been in those jobs, you're like, I'm making a difference for about 1/1,000,000th of the people that I could make a difference for.
Right.
And so, yes, you want to, like, I know you're the same type. I wanted to save everybody. Absolutely. And that job makes it so impossible. And that's an added level of stress that people don't understand. If you want to save people, if you got into it with the right reasons, for the right reasons that you did, it is so taxing on because you can't leave it. You take it with you.
No, it's 24/7. You're on call 24/7. No matter.
So now you're your own boss, right?
Yes, I love it.
Tell me about that. Tell us about your practice. I mean, you're not just your own boss. Now you're a big time author, which I want to hear about too. But tell about your practice. You do marriage and family counseling, correct?
Yes. So I do marriage and family counseling as well as individuals, but my niche, Ted, is with women and with couples. So women who are going through all types of life transitions, couples who are going through all types of things, mainly things around communication, conflict resolution, just overcoming, different things in their relationship. So those are the areas that I really focus on. I see a few families as well as a result of seeing individuals and couples. The family is a part of that as well. So I do see families also, and I really, 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 really enjoy it. So the one of the modalities that I use is the emotionally focused therapy with my couples, which has been very successful with my couples. I use a lot of CBT and solution focused therapy because some people come to therapy, they come one time.
Again?
Say that again.
What's CBT?
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh.
So when we talk about therapy, a lot of people like to think that we're talking about just people who are like cuckoo or people just need to talk to someone. But what I like to share with people about mental health is when you're talking about your mental health, we're talking about your emotions, your behaviors, and your thoughts. So all of those things affect your mental health. So in therapy, those are the things that we really talk about and the things that I enjoy talking about, So again, I'm going off on my tangent, but my practice is in Winter Park. And
I like tangents. You're fine.
Right.
You're in good shape here.
Right. So I see clients usually Tuesday through Fridays in the evenings. And on Saturdays, I see clients that starting early as 8 a.m. So
I know you do it Tuesday to Friday because you never can sit and play. And if Nettie's watching at some point and she's not on social media, that's what I love. No, I love to hear you talk about what you do because you obviously have a passion for it, probably always have, but you're making a difference in your way. And I think a lot of people need to figure that out. Like if you want to make a difference in the world, you found the way to make it in a way that is happy and mostly healthy for you, and also allows you to do the work that you want to do. And I think a lot of people get caught up in, well, I've got this job, I'm just going to stay in it, I'm not going to make the leap. I love the fact that you made the leap.
Yeah, I enjoy it too. I really enjoy it.
It's one thing to get people in a room and help them resolve whatever issues they have. It's another thing to become an author and write a book. So let's talk about W.I.N.K. I was like, I better look up what W.I.N.K stands for.
Right.
Because I was so afraid you'd ask me. And most of the time, Cherlette, as you know me, I wouldn't know the answer.
Right.
But it's what I need to know after a breakup.
That's exactly what it is, Ted. What I need to know after a breakup. So as I said earlier, my niche is with women and with couples. So I see a lot of couples at the beginning of their relationship, and I see a lot of couples at the end of their relationship. And then a lot of women that I see, they're going through heartbreak, just things around relationships being broken, and not only romantic relationships, but friendships, relationships with their families and different things like that. And seeing that and treating that and talking to people about that and my own personal experience, I just thought it was really helpful to put a quick read together, just some quick nuggets that people could use around life after a breakup, after a divorce, after a relationship has split. Just some things.
Why'd you pick W.I.N.K?
Say it again.
Why'd you pick W.I.N.K?
So listen, I love W.I.N.K, right? Because it's an acronym for what I need to know, as well as we all know W.I.N.K is like a sign of enlightenment. Like, okay, I got it. Okay, got it. Oh,
I love it.
That's what it is, And I thought it was really catchy, for people to really remember what it is, what I need to know. The next book that I want to work on is what I need to know around dating someone with children. Just a quick read. It's not a long book at all, Ted. I mean, it's a really quick book, and it has about 10 steps in here around the important issues, things that we really need to focus on. We're talking about breaking away from a relationship or the aftermath of a breakup. Sometimes breakups can really, really, really determine your success or not in life, depending on how we take it and, how we cope with it. And this book just gives you some affirmations at the end. And one of the things I love about this book, not only because I wrote it, but one of the things I love about it at the end, there's a challenging list that really enforces that behavior that I talk about in those 10 steps, that really moves you towards doing those things if you really take the challenge to do it. And then there's some affirmations that, really help you change the way that you see yourself and what love is and how you receive love and how you give love, which is important too to
I
learn.
would imagine that you could write 1,000 books on the wink process or thought process. And yet, most of us, I'll be guilty of it too, go back for the same insanity time and time again. So I want to ask you about
Right.
relationships. And this can be your significant other, it can be family member, it could be really anything. But we keep going back. There's a pattern. And then we wonder why we're doing the same thing and nothing ever changes. So
True.
what can somebody do who really wants to break those chains, Cherlette? They've had it. This is the 95th significant other that's done the exact same thing to them, and they're feeling exactly the same way, and they can't figure out why, but they're done. They're tired. They're exhausted. They're finally at their point where they're
Yes.
going to make the change. So what would be the first 1 or 2 steps that you might recommend to them to do?
So Ted, that is a really good question because these are usually the clients that I see when they come in the door. This is what you just said is exactly what they say, men and women. This is exactly what they say. And the first thing I think they're really shocked that I say is we have to really find out who you are. We have to really find out who you are in a relationship. What makes you tick in a relationship, what you like in a relationship, what you don't like in a relationship. And we really have to dig and find out why you show up in relationships the way that you do that attracts you to these people over and over and over again. Most people like to say it's the other person's fault. You know, they just see me and they like me because of this and that. It's not that. It's really becoming aware of who you are and why do you like these people? Why aren't you attracted to this person? Why are you attracted to this person? And a lot of times what I do in these types of situations, Ted, is we do family of origin work. So we go back to your childhood, you know, and I do some life mapping and we talk about what was your view of love? You know, how were you loved? You know, how did you give love? What is your definition of love? You know, and a lot of times we talk about things like codependency.
Sure.
And we use that word very, you know, openly, and we just say, you know, I'm codependent and I this and that, that, and the other. But a lot of times that is the issue where a lot of us find our value and our validation in doing for others. And if you show up in a relationship willing to do whatever to make someone happy, they get accustomed to that. And guess what? Their expectation for you is to do everything for me.
You've
And
told them exactly how to treat you.
we start
have
showing
given
up in
them-
relationships, Ted, auditioning for love.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
We just start auditioning for love everywhere, you know, until we really become aware of that and start healing that process of self-validation, self-love, and really learning what our style of love is, how we give it and how we receive it. And that's the surface level, but we go deeper
go ahead. I'm sorry.
that.
Sorry, you're just a little delayed. I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but you go ahead. I apologize. Say it again.
So we just go a little deeper. That's on the surface level. Just talking about, you know, the way that you give love and how you receive love. But sometimes we show up in the relationship very toxic. Ted, is not always the other person. You know, we show up very toxic.
True.
Yeah. So, you know, and then
I'm carrying around all this baggage that I carried around for probably my whole life in the last 25 failed relationships. And now I'm going to bring it here thinking I'm just going to unpack this and it's going to be different now. And you know, it's not going to be different. People love what they know. Yeah. So I have people that I've spoken with that say that they are comfortable in the uncomfortable because it's comfortable.
It's true.
It's just, you know what, I know what to expect. I know how this relationship's going to turn out. I know I'm going to feel like crap, but I'm so afraid to do something different and I won't get the same. It's outside my comfort zone. And I think that I feel like that's where a lot of relationship problems come in. Because like you said, you don't address the family origin story. They don't ever take care of the things that are driving them to where they're at.
Absolutely. And you know what, Ted, a lot of times we show up in relationships very angry and we don't know that we're carrying all this resentment. We're carrying all this stuff from relationships and how we've been treated. And then we show up in this relationship with a lot of trust issues, with a lot of miscommunication. We show up with stonewalling, where we just won't talk when we get mad. We'll ignore you. We'll pop back when we get ready. And a lot of people like the comfort zone because they don't have to be aware and they don't have no responsibility for change.
That's right.
So we like it. I get to say this
right?
way, you say that way, and we just meet in the middle.
Well, and I know that both of us are products of learning as much as we can about what baggage we carry or carried around. And so that's why I love this topic, because I think people would say, well, she's got her act together. She wrote a book. She came up with a cool title. She's amazing. And what they don't know is absolutely that's true. But you also speak from experience.
Absolutely.
You speak from living it, having felt it probably. I mean, we come, but what you did differently was shift. You pivoted. You made the change. So tell them like, what can they do if they are coming to you and they know that they need the help? What can they begin to do in their life? What's one of the first things that you tell them?
So the first thing I would say, Ted, is just be open. Be open for change. Be open for different perspectives around relationships, and be able to talk about who you are and your perspective around relationships, and not feel bad or feel guilty because you've shown up the way that you've shown up or you've experienced what you've experienced. Just being open to talking about that and releasing it. And not coming from this place of shame or like, I shouldn't say this or I shouldn't. Yes, you should. There's so much healing in talk therapy. There's so much healing in being able to just share who you are right now. Just sharing who you are.
I agree. I think people are afraid of that, probably because they have either experienced a recoil moment where they shared and they got their hands slapped or they got bit. Right. Figuratively, of course. Anyway, but they're like, oh, I tried that way, Cherlette. That way doesn't work. My way works. I mean, it doesn't work, but I think my way is the comfortable way. What have you seen relationship-wise that you've been dealing with or seeing couples dealing with, or any relationship because of COVID?
So, Ted, most of us, when you talk about solutions, we usually just do our best known solution. And when we keep getting the same results from that best known solution, that's an indication, especially if we're getting negative results, that's an indication that we need to try something different. That's a true indication that we need to try something different, a different perspective. But when it comes to couples right now during this pandemic, it's really difficult for a lot of couples right now. And not only because of physical health, but you're talking about financial, uncertainty, talking about childcare uncertainty, you're talking about not being able to do the meaningful things that you normally do. Couples, it's that balance of being together and the separate part. In marriage, we need both. We need that togetherness, and we need that part of being separate to do things that really fulfill us. And now I think because a lot of couples, they aren't able to do that. We don't have distractions right now, right? We don't have things when we get upset, we could leave the house and go here or go there. That's not an option right now. So we're forced to be with each other, even when we're in high conflict. So that's causing a lot of issues for couples right now, and not really having, the words to say around the things that have happened a long time ago, as well as the things that have happened now. So I'm seeing a lot of couples that are in turmoil around conflict, around really talking about things like loss of income, and lifestyle changes. And a lot of people may think that, that's surface, you're together, and you shouldn't think about, materialistic things. But people get accustomed to a certain lifestyle, Ted. And when money isn't coming in and you have to downsize and live with family members, or allow family members to come and live with you, and they live totally different from you, that causes a lot of conflict. And then the other issue that we're having a lot of problems with blended families, around visitation schedules now. And some moms don't want the children to leave the house because they could bring COVID back to the house. So some, couples are like, no, our kids aren't going on visitation right now until this is all over. But what is that doing to the child, and the other parent? They still deserve to have their visits. So
Yep.
There are so many dynamics that's going on with couples right now, Ted. It's really, I mean, it's a lot. Right now I'm seeing so many couples around the conflict resolution part.
It's so stressful, right? Like I feel even like for Stacy and I, it was a blessing.
Yeah.
We were home together more, which is where we're at our best. We're at our worst when we're apart a lot.
Okay.
And so like we each have our own individual stuff, but we're better when we're together more often.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, their relationship has been based on that separation. And it's much more comfortable for them to only see them once or twice a week.
Absolutely, Ted.
And so it's hard. They're like, who in the world are you? And why are you in my business all day long? I see that. I've had friends tell me, I swear to God, if that person asks me one more time what I'm doing today, I'm going to lose my mind. And that person's their wife, husband, spouse, whatever. And I'm like, listen, you have to have a conversation. Or go see a therapist. Go see Cherlette.
It's so true, Ted. But it's funny, but it's so true. Just having your spouse or your significant other in your space 24/7 can be overbearing. It could really be overbearing.
Yep.
It could really be overbearing. And then think about this, though, Ted. The way that you usually fuel yourself is going out with friends or just a distraction. Just some people just like to go play golf, right? Some people just like to get with girlfriends and have a drink. That's cut out.
Yeah.
That's cut out. So all of your fun is in the house with your significant other, your pets, and your children, or by yourself. And that's it.
It's a lot to handle, and it happened, honestly, if you think about it, back to March, it happened so quickly that people really didn't believe it, and all of a sudden they were forced to believe it because it was mandated.
Right.
And I don't think there was any planning. I don't think people understood, and so I have to give kudos to people. I feel like they've done their best in what tools they come to the relationship with.
Yes.
But it's unprecedented. So nobody could have forewarned you on how this would be.
No.
But I think
there's no manual of how to work from home with your spouse or significant. It's just, there's no manual to it. So everybody, you think about it, everybody's just figuring it out as they go, and then don't forget, we had some parents that had the responsibility of being the teacher for their children as well as work.
It's been such a challenge for everyone, but I think that people who are willing to be open to therapy, to be open to discussions, those people seem to be the ones that are adjusting a little bit better. We haven't had anybody go completely crazy, at least in my circle, but I've had a lot of people that I'm like, we might need to Baker Act you if you don't figure out exactly what's going on in your world. All right, so our time is up. So share with them how they can buy the book, how they can engage you as the family and marriage counseling guru that you are.
Thank you, Ted. So you can always reach me at 407-230-4582. And you can always go to my website. It's my name, www.CherletteMcCullough.com. You can always go there. You can always catch me on Facebook as well, Cherlette McCullough, and I'm on Instagram as Cherlette McCullough as well. So I'm always available. You can always call me. I'll call you back by the end of the day, and we can chit chat.
You were amazing. You have great nuggets you shared with us. You guys go check her out. The website is streaming across the bottom.
Thank you, Ted. This is so cool.
See, it was fun, right? I told you.
Yes.
We always have fun, but we learn a lot. People get knowledge from you that you're willing to share, and because you're such an open book, I guarantee you've got a lot of love up and down here. So Cherlette and I will both go back through and send some love back to you guys. Thank you for being on the show. You're amazing. You know how much I love and appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right,
Cherlette. All right, Ted, thank you. And I'll be in contact with you, and I'll see you on the Zoom call for the board meeting next week. I think it is.
Yes.
All right.
I'll have a cocktail then, Cherlette.
Yes.
All right, Cherlette, have a great one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ted.
Cherlette McCullough, go reach out to her. We love you. All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye.